I turned 30 this year. That means I'm basically as good as dead. No, really what that means is that I feel like I've lived just enough life to finally have some idea of what truly matters and then what truly does not. And this has not been a purposeful thought process for me. It's just something that's been happening. Now that I've been in my photography career for about 10 years, I've been a dad for 2 years, and now that I'm finally out of that incredibly mixed bag that was my 20s, I've noticed a shift in my mindset towards a lot of things, especially regarding my own opinions. One of the things I've really let go of is constantly judging other photographers' decisions, priorities, and artistic style just because they're different from mine. And I actually used to be really bad about this. I would constantly give very harsh critiques of other photographers' work behind their backs, judge their career decisions, and just generally act like my opinion was better and more informed than theirs. But instead of saying things like, that sucks, that photo looks terrible, or that photographer is just bad, I found myself saying things like, well, that's okay, they're just getting started, or that's just not my style, but I'm happy for them. All of this is really just a long prelude leading up to me saying that I really wish some photographers would shut the hell up. What's up? My name is Walter. I'm a photographer and commercial filmmaker based in the southeastern United States. And on this channel, I'm all about trying to put the fun back into professional photography. So if that's something that really gets your jet engines going, then subscribe for more crap from me. So I spent some time there at the beginning of this video talking about how much I've grown concerning my opinions on other photographers. And I really do mean that. I am so happy that there are so many different styles out there for everyone. And each photographer finds joy in different parts of the photography process. It's really important that every photographer chases after and keeps that joy when they find it, because we need more unapologetic artists who do things in their own way. The world of art would be quite boring if we all did things in the exact same way, right? So that's why it's so irritating to me whenever I see one photographer tell another photographer what is objectively right or wrong. Allow me to elaborate. Let's start with a simple truth here. Photography is an art, and art is inherently subjective. What's important to one person might be of absolutely zero consequence to another. What you have to keep in mind is that you, as one single photographer, shoot what you like to shoot, and that carries a specific set of requirements for you. For example, let's say you're a real estate photographer. You probably have a super sharp ultra wide lens, some flashes, a good tripod, and you have your shooting methods down to a science, and you have a consistent and repeatable formula for your work. Now, imagine that I, a photographer who photographs mainly people, although I did used to shoot some real estate, I tell you that you're not a real photographer because you don't have a really good 50mm prime lens. How would that make you feel? You'd probably think, this asshole has no idea what kind of work I do, because if he did, he would know that I absolutely do not need a 50mm lens for my real estate photography. Now, imagine I go up to someone who primarily photographs weddings, like I do, and I tell them that since they don't own a tripod, they have no right to charge someone to photograph their wedding because every real photographer must own a tripod. That would be stupid, and you'd have every right to tell me to hit the bricks. If any of this sounds familiar to you, welcome to the world of photography. Unfortunately for the human race, everyone has an opinion. Many of us have figured out that not everyone needs or wants your opinion on every single little thing, and that's great. But of course, way more people than that have not figured that out and still think that they have to start yelling at you if you see something differently from them. I made a video last week about the Mamiya 645, a medium format film camera that I really love. And I spent a good deal of time praising the camera until I got to kind of the second half of the video where I explained that my big problem with the Mamiya 645 wasn't even with the camera itself, but the fact that processing film these days is prohibitively expensive, at least for me. I get at least one comment on every video I make about film photography about how I really should just develop and scan my own film, as it will save on that cost and solve my problem, right? Well, in this particular video last week, I made sure to emphasize that I have zero interest in developing and scanning my own film, as I just don't have the time in my life nor the room in my house to develop and scan my own film. I gave great clarity on this as to how I have a full-time job, my own photography freelance business, this YouTube channel, and of course, all my responsibilities as a dad and a husband. I have a lot going on in my life, and I simply cannot take on another hobby like developing and scanning film. I even said that maybe later on in life I can try to take it on, but it's just not for me for right now. And wouldn't you believe it, I keep getting comments on that video about how I really should just develop and scan my own film because it's the best way to experience film photography. Like, I'm sorry, do people just tune out things they don't like when they're watching a YouTube video? I have no idea how they missed that part of the video. And best of all, I posted a screenshot of one of these comments on Threads. Don't go on Threads, it's a cesspool. I can't stay away from it. Explaining everything I already just explained about how I specifically mentioned why I can't develop and scan my own film. And I got a lot of replies from people agreeing with me. But I got this one reply that just made me laugh out loud, and I had to share this really quick. He said, "And that's precisely why I would never look at or follow your work. If it's somebody else is scanning and developing your images, why not just have them shoot them also?" Poor grammar and sentence structure aside, that's like saying, "Oh, you're making pasta salad, but you didn't hand make the rigatoni yourself. Why not just shove it up your butthole instead?" Because that statement makes about just as much sense as what this guy said to me. For people like this, the mere idea of someone else doing their art in a way that they don't like is enough information for them to decide that your art is actually completely invalid. According to them, it's better to not do the art at all if you're not going to, quote, do it right. Also, just as an aside here, I did clap back at this guy on Threads and called his photos boring, which they are, and his snowflake ass immediately blocked me. So much for free speech, because I'm being silenced in the marketplace of ideas. Another example of this can also be seen on my channel from earlier this year. I made a simple video about why I just can't quit Fujifilm. And in the video, I laid out a few reasons why I still love Fujifilm cameras, despite their flaws, and despite the fact that I own several other cameras that are, on paper, way more capable and almost flawless. And I made sure to emphasize Fujifilm's flaws, but that for me and the way that I shoot and what I shoot, those flaws aren't deal breakers to me, and I'm happy to deal with them in order to use these cameras that I love. And wouldn't you know it, months later, I am still getting comments on that video about how there's no way I can be a real professional photographer and use Fujifilm cameras. I don't know what to tell you, bud. I'm out here making money with these cameras, so that's your problem to deal with. I also made a video kind of defending Fujifilm's autofocus, as I believe all the controversy surrounding that topic lately has been extremely exaggerated and overblown. In that particular video, I also made sure to emphasize very clearly that, although perfectly usable in my opinion, Fujifilm's autofocus is still at the bottom of the pack compared to basically every other modern camera system. This is another video that I still get comments on occasionally from sweaty neckbeards yelling at me, just absolutely seething that I could ever suggest anyone can use Fujifilm cameras in professional settings. I don't know, man. I've only been doing YouTube a few months, but I've had to quickly come to grips with the fact that some people are just really angry all the time and get especially angry if you like something that they don't like and talk about it on the internet. And I never really know what to tell those people because in my mind, that is an incredibly immature and juvenile way to look at the world. Not to mention that it has to be absolutely exhausting to live your life in such a way that you are constantly upset about somebody else's opinions and decisions, and you're always just 1 second away from calling a stranger on the internet an idiot just because they see things differently from you. I think another one of the main lessons that I've learned throughout the years that I apply to both photography and just life in general is that diversity really is beautiful. I love the fact that there are people in my life who look differently from me, think differently from me, and act differently from me. I cannot imagine how boring the world would be if we all thought and acted the same way. And this is especially true in art, but since I'm a photographer and this is a channel about photography, I'll stay in my lane here. There are so many different types of photography. There are so many different types of photographers with completely different styles, and there's so many things, people, and moments to photograph. I personally love to photograph people, and to get even more specific, I have a huge passion for photographing weddings. There's something so special and pure about two people committing to each other for the rest of their lives, and what a privilege it is that some of these people have entrusted me with the great privilege of documenting such an occasion. And how luckier still am I that there are a ton of other wedding photographers out there with vastly different styles from me, because I'm absolutely not the photographer for every wedding couple. My style is very documentary, very photojournalistic. I don't like to direct people or moments. I don't like to make every photo look light and airy, nor do I want to make every photo look dark and moody. I don't like off-camera flash at weddings. I like to make every photo look and feel like it did did in real life when that moment was actually happening. I let my highlights be highlights, and I let my shadows be shadows. I like to edit in a style that's more true to life, but with a flair of film-like nostalgia without being overly done. But none of that is the only correct way of doing things. There are photographers who only shoot and edit in a light and airy style. There are photographers who obsess over getting their photos and their colors to be as true to life as possible. There are photographers who never use flash no matter what, etc., etc. None of those things are my style at all, and I've come to actually really love that. That means that no matter who you are and what you like, if you're getting married and you need a photographer, your perfect wedding photographer is out there, just waiting for you to find them and hire them to bring your wedding vision to life. And I've actually turned down many a wedding couple over the years because even though they like me as a person and I like them, my style is not the right fit for them. If you love posed photos and want a lot of direction for an editorial style thing, that's not me, but I'm happy to send you to one of my photographer friends who does love doing that. To steer it away from weddings for a minute, I had a conversation with a photographer recently, one who is quite successful and has a lot more experience than me. And he really poured into me over the course of what ended up being like a 2.5-hour phone call. And parts of that conversation really changed my mindset about a few key things. But let me tell you about just one thing he said that I haven't been able to stop thinking about. I was talking about the delineation between my commercial work, my wedding photography, and my personal photography, and he interrupted me like mid-sentence while I was explaining how I approach each of these things differently. He said, no, don't do that. All work is personal work. Such a simple statement, but it has drastically changed my mindset in photography. All work is personal work. What this means, in my mind, what I'm taking away from this, is that no matter what you're shooting, whether that's weddings, portraits, landscapes, real estate, sports, architecture, whatever, it's all personal. Documenting any of those things wouldn't happen at all if you weren't there behind the camera. So moving forward, for me, all of my photography, professional or not, is personal because everything I put in front of my lens is my interpretation of that moment. This photographer also told me that there is only one Walter Lyle. There is almost a countless number of photographers in the world, but there's only one Walter Lyle. For better or for worse. Some people would say that's worse. I don't care. That means that no matter what I'm shooting, only I can shoot it in the way that I want it to be shot. My perspective behind the camera can only be captured and shared by me. I'm just so happy that God has given me the passion for this art form and for giving me people in my life who support me in that. If you made it to this point in the video, you're now one of those people. Thank you so much for being that person, if only for the few minutes you took out of your day to watch this video. I hope you got something useful out of this, maybe makes you think about things a little differently than you have been, because that was kind of the goal of it. If you want to support me and what I'm doing on this channel, you can comment to keep the conversation going. I do my best to reply to everyone. It might take me a week or so, but I'll get back to you. And you can also like the video, as both of those things tells the YouTube algorithm that this is a video that more people should watch. And you can also subscribe if you vibe with me. I hate that I said it that way. If you want to keep up with what I'm doing here in my little corner of the internet. You can also support me even further by checking out my Bougie Film preset pack, which are my personal presets that I made myself and use all the time. That's only $15 with the discount code in the description. And you can also just download the free Bougie Film Chrome preset, as even those free downloads tells me that I'm doing at least something right. And if you don't want to do any of that, hey man, that's totally fine, because I will see you in the algorithm in 6 months.